Okay, guys, I am so pumped to be with you today, and I've got some great stuff that I want to share all about some of what we're experiencing right now in our current market conditions and the joy that we're all having. So I'm excited to be with you. Today, as I read through the affirmations, one of the affirmations that I always love that we say each day is the one that says, "My SOI expects me to be their real estate expert." And I love that for two reasons. Number one is it's identifying the fact your SOI, like, boy, and I could go off forever on this, and I have, is just who's your SOI? What are you doing to work with them? How are you communicating with them? Do you have a game plan, etc.? And then, of course, the second one is simply they expect me to be their real estate expert. And that's interesting because it begs this great question of, are you a real estate expert? Is it important to you to be a real estate expert? What does it mean to be a real estate expert? I'll never forget, I'd been in the business a few years and was already I was in a leadership position within a company that I started in real estate, and kind of an interesting time, but most of my days were spent helping brand new agents work through transactions. So it was sort of this teaching process. Well, I was still selling myself and was involved in a transaction with an agent. And it was a bigger price point at that time. And I was really excited about it, working through it. And I called this other agent and I sort of started coaching him a little bit on what he should be doing. Or I was waiting for something and I was so used to having to tell people kind of how things should be done and make sure we're on track that this other agent sort of stopped me mid-sentence. And I promise it wasn't in an arrogant, rude, and it wasn't coming from me that way either, and not from him. It was just sort of like it was an interesting moment. I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, "Jeremy, hang tight. Before you finish that thought," he said, this is my life, real estate. This is my career. I take it very seriously, and I don't need to be big. I'm okay. I said I'll never forget what he said. I'm kind of now trying to dumb it down a little bit. Basically, the point was, Jeremy, I'm a professional. I'm a real estate expert. I don't need you to hold my hand through this transaction. The reason why I'm saying it like that is he wasn't coming across as rude or anything, and I wasn't being inconsiderate to him in the way I approached. It was a nice exchange, but what it did for me is it woke up this idea in my head of, wow, this guy, he really takes pride in his job. He really takes pride in what he's doing. He has owned the fact that I'm in real estate. So, and the reason why that was sort of a thing in my head is, how many of us have throughout our career thought, well, real estate's my step to the next thing. Real estate's where I'm heading next, rather than just owning the fact that, hey, I'm going to be great at this. I'm going to determine to be awesome at this, and I'm going to be the best I can. So that's why when we say that every day, my SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. I take it seriously, and I believe that it's one of the most important things we can pronounce every single day through our affirmations. So as we look at that and start to consider, I'm reminded of something that I've said multiple times. I haven't said it in a while, but boy, I remember saying it about a year ago as we looked at what 2020 was going to look like. And it was this, that you have basically three choices right now. And if you have a pen and a paper, you want to write these down, but you have three choices right now with what you're going to do with your business. Number one, you can continue doing things the way you're currently doing them. Number one, whatever marketing you're doing, whatever communication you're doing, whether you're out there creating business or you're waiting for business to come to you, whatever that might be, just continue doing things the way you've always done them. Now, every one of these three options I'm going to give you is going to have consequences, aren't they? I mean, think about it for a moment. If you were to choose to just continue doing what you've always done, are you guaranteed the same results? The answer is definitively no. And the reason why is because the market's going to shift. You're going to see changes in people and conditions and price ranges and commissions and all of those things. There are certain variables that you can't control. So just simply saying, I'm going to continue doing what I've always done might not be the right approach. Second choice that you have is you could certainly allow the market, this is number two, allow the market to dictate what you're doing with your business. Allow the market to dictate. I have to be honest, I'm seeing that a lot right now. And this was a bit of what I would call maybe a warning that I threw out there a year ago of saying, if you allow the market, because at the time, the market was on fire. There was, we were still in a housing shortage, but people were still able to have options and choices. They were getting in multiple offers, but it was nothing like what it's like right now. And just for you people in California that are tuning in Utah here, I think we've got 20,000 real estate agents, and our MLS has currently 1,900 homes for sale on it. So things have reached a new level for us here. And it's exactly what I want to talk about today. So that's option number two, allow the market to dictate. Well, some people were allowing the market to dictate for the last few years. And guess what? It was going okay. Things were going, you had more people calling you, things were great. But if you're in that situation now, you're sort of running into a brick wall. I can see it. I'm talking to agents every day. I'm hearing the same things from them. And option number three, which is the one today that I would recommend and propose to you, is that you change your sales behaviors. You change your actions and change your sales behaviors right now. If what's working for you right now isn't working, what do you need to adjust? It's so critical that you begin to dive in. I've said this quote before. It's one of my favorite ones. If you want different results, you have to do things differently. Such an important point. If you want different results, you have to do things differently. So right now, I might be as encouraging as possible, but I know what's happening because I've spent time in all of our offices around Utah, speaking with agents from each office, listening to what's going on. And listen, I promise that what you're saying is not falling on deaf ears. I'm experiencing it myself. I see what is going on, but I cut my teeth on one of the toughest markets that we've ever seen back in 2007, 2008, and I figured out a way to work through it. And as I sat down and I talked to myself about what made the difference, I've been asked that question so many times in the last decade. Why did it work for you in the middle of a recession? What worked for you during that time? And ultimately, the market conditions that everyone else was facing were the same that I was facing. And so today, what I want to talk about is what behaviors, what sales activities, what should we or what could we change? And I'm just going to dive into some of these right now and start busting them out, because no matter what I say right now about encouragement and about being a real estate expert and all that good stuff, here's what I know is happening in our heads right now is we're saying, but. No, whatever is said, we're going to say, but the listings, but the market, but the pandemic, right? And I'm not discounting any of those things. But I promise you that what I have to share today, if you'll pay attention and be willing to, as George often says, suspend your disbelief momentarily and allow yourself to possibly wake up a little bit from some of the negativity that's going on and change your state, change your mindset, I am absolutely certain great things can happen in your business. And I know that because I lived it. I lived it the last time we were facing a market crisis. So if you have a pen and a paper, write the following down. Just write this down. Think and Grow Rich. Popular book. I'm going to guess that everybody on this call has listened to this at one point or another in their lives. If you haven't recently, I would suggest doing it again. This book was written, I think, during the Great Depression, and talking to all of the great thinkers and minds of that time and business people. So don't hesitate to pick that book up and start reading it again right now in the midst of some of the interesting things that we're experiencing. So Think and Grow Rich. Next, I want you to write down the 6 basic fears. That's a section in the book that I would recommend. Oops, my phone's on loud. Hey, it's someone from California calling. Maybe it's a lead. I'll pass it on. Just kidding. I'm going to pull my book up here because I want to actually make sure I have this for you. If you go to Think and Grow Rich and go to page 20, you know what? I've got this. Basically, it's the How to Outwit, chapter 15. Oh boy, sorry, shaking. Go to chapter 15. You want to read about that. And this is the section that I'm going to talk a little bit about today. But it talks about the 6 basic fears. I'm not going to go through them all in a big discourse on them, but they are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love of someone, old age, and death. Those are the 6 basic fears. Napoleon Hill's comment is, hey, look, most other fears are somewhat embodied in those 6 basic fears. Today, what I want to talk about and dive in is I just want to have you write down some words. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Write down 7 items. I'm going to give you 7 points to look at today. So what Napoleon Hill does is he goes through the 6 basic fears and he talks about what the fear is. And then he talks about what is like the symptoms of the fear. So think about it. If we were to talk about like a cold, right? What are the symptoms of a cold? Well, that's just like a NyQuil commercial. The sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy nose, headache, fever, so you can rest your head medicine. I don't know. I did that okay, I think. But those are the symptoms of a cold, right? What are the symptoms of a person who has the fear of poverty? Okay, and these are the items that he wrote down. A person who has the fear of poverty overwhelming them right now, you want to write that down, are going to start with number 1, indifference. Number 2, indecision. Number 3, doubt. Number 4, worry. Number 5, overcaution. Number 6, procrastination. And number 7 is they expect poverty. I'll run through those really quickly. So if you are experiencing, guys, the same thing. If you're experiencing a cold, you've got a stuffy nose, cough, headache, fever, right? That's what you experience. If you're experiencing in your life some type of fear of poverty, it doesn't have to be the fear of sleeping on the street, but it might be the fear of, where am I going to get my next deal? How am I going to take my next listing? How am I going to communicate with people? Nobody wants to talk because nobody has a house to go into, right? These are the fear of poverty, is how are you going to continue to earn dollars? How are you going to help people, right? Those are the things. The market is too hard. Nobody wants to buy right now or nobody wants to sell right now because there's nothing to buy, right? These are the things that we're experiencing right now because of the fear that we have. I'm not saying they're not real. Again, I repeat that because I know we have people joining and stuff, and I want to make sure it's clear. I get these are real things we're experiencing, but just remember what they are. These are the symptoms of the fear of poverty. Again, indifference, indecision, doubt, worry, overcaution, procrastination, and expecting poverty. So what I've done is I've taken these words and I'm reminded of this great thing that we've talked about over the years, the idea of, are you living in your mind, in your heart, in your life? Are you living in a space or a world of scarcity or fear? Or are you living in a world, in a place of abundance, right? Abundance is, there's so much, right? Which world are you living in? And so if I was going to say, well, I want to get rid of the indifference, the indecision, the doubt, the worry, the procrastination, well, what do you do? Well, you've got to do the opposite, right? You have to find out what the opposite of those things are. So if you've written down those 7 items, I hope you have, next to those words, I have the antonym or the opposite of those words that I want to share with you. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 1, indifference. The opposite of that is eagerness, responsiveness. Think about this. Think about how you're feeling right now in the market. Are you believing that it's possible to create a transaction? Are you believing that there's listings out there for you to take? Are you believing that there might be solutions out there for your client to be able to sell and buy, rather than the indifference of, well, if a deal shows up, I'll work on it, or or if it looks like a cakewalk, or if I believe, think about that. That's the difference. Be eager right now. Be responsive to people. Be responsive to yourself when you're encouraging yourself to get to work and do the things that you need to do. Number 2, indecision. The opposite of indecisiveness and indecision is certainty, determination, surety, or just the word, the opposite of indecision, sure, meaning you are sure of something. I love that. How confident are you? We've got a relationship that we're trying to create with a new construction company right now. And it's sort of a big deal. I mean, not sort of, it is a big deal, and it would be great. And look, if I was to sit down with the group of you right now and we were to talk about, well, how do commissions work usually for a new construction company? You're usually going to talk about, well, usually it's they'll do a discounted commission because you're going to get the volume there. And so it might be something where it's like a 5% commission or a 4.5%, and you get 1.5% or 2%, and the buyer agent gets 2.5% or 3%. If a client shows up, it's kind of interesting, right? There are concessions typically made, not always, but what I loved is as we're creating this relationship and talking about, well, what structure should we offer? And I loved George, our CEO, was like, it's 6%. It's going to be 6% bottom line, or else I'm not even going to get involved in it. I mean, guys, was that indecisive? No. It was very certain. It was very determined. The sureness level was huge right there. It was such a cool thing. And guess what's cool? I believed him and I agreed with him. When 5 seconds earlier, I was going to be like, yeah, well, let's talk about what our deal will be, the way that everyone does a deal. And I loved that George's attitude was just very quick and a great reminder for all of us, certainty, determined, whatever that might be. All right, let's keep rolling. That's not a comment on commission cutting or any of that. It's simply just moving on the idea of like someone with some certainty, and it's the best in my mind. Number 3, doubt. Okay, the opposite of doubt: trust, belief, faith. Okay, think about those words as it relates to your real estate career. What do you trust about what's going on? What do you believe? Do you believe it's a good time to sell a home? Do you believe it's a good time to buy a home? Do you believe that there are people out there that actually want to get some real estate sold? And do you believe there are more listings out there than are currently presenting themselves in the market? Do you believe there are solutions to our current crisis? Think about these. Here's the next one. Do you believe in you? Do you believe personally that you are capable of being an aggressive agent, of being a great salesperson, about putting your clients in a great position? Do you believe that you can be creative with what's happening right now and create solutions? I mean, an idea that I heard, I was up in the Centerville office the other day. Cassie's on, she was there. Tons of fun just chatting with the agents and listening to ideas. One of the coolest ideas that I heard, and they were creative, and I think there's some question about how you need to approach it to make sure it's all right. I'm not getting into that, but mostly just the fact that clients were leaving a gift for the seller, maybe a box of cookies, a drink, whatever it might be, and saying, thank you for letting us see your beautiful home. We are so excited to submit an offer on your property and hope that you'll consider it. Or something to that effect. And guys, I'm sitting here going, never thought of it, right? How creative am I being right now, right? Do I believe that I can get creative like that? And am I trying to come up with these solutions? So critical. It is the opposite of the indecision, the indifference, the doubt, the worry. It is taking it down a different direction and saying, no, wait, this is how I will approach this. That's just kind of a fun idea there. But okay, trust, believe, faith. This isn't religious, but the ideas I've always understood with faith is believing in things which are not seen but are believed. Okay, guys, you kind of need to see with your mind's eye first. Have a vision of what it is you're going to accomplish, believing each day that there are people out there that want to list with you, There are people out there who want to buy from you. There are people out there that are going to put offers in with you and come from this place of abundance and faith and belief rather than a space of negativity, indifference, and doubt and worry, which is the next one. The opposite of worry, okay? Calm, trust, happiness. Being calm about what's happening, not panicking, not freaking out over what does my future look like? Allowing yourself, when you start to feel that worry, to be able to just go, okay, I've done this. I know other people have done this. I trust what's going to happen. I trust the fact that I've been through a hard market and I worked through it. I trust the fact that the cream will rise, and that if I'm one of the best, and if I'm doing my best, and if I'm creative and positive, I will also rise to the top of this situation and create great opportunities. Consider that. Those are the opposites of worry. Being calm, trusting, being happy, creating happiness in this market. I mean, that's where it comes from, like being positive, right? Are you positive? Are you showing up with a smile on your face? Are you showing up with purpose, determined to accomplish things because you believe there's opportunities out there? Next one is over caution. Sometimes when we're experiencing the fear of poverty, we become overcautious about what our next steps are. Now, as I looked up this word, it was interesting because many of the opposites of overcautious were kind of negative things, like being uncareful or being careless. I'm not talking about that. Of course I'm not. But a couple of the words that stuck out to me for the purposes of this meeting, two of the opposites of being overcautious were, number one, being bold, and number two, being extroverted. I love the idea of that. Being bold, putting yourself out there, being bold with yourself about what you're going to accomplish, being bold with your schedule, with your time, with the people that you love about what you're going to do, being bold with people out there that you know should engage in the real estate market right now, being bold, being extroverted, okay, stepping outside of the box a little bit, stepping outside of your comfort zone a little bit, and thinking of ways to get the job done. Thinking of ways to win more often in a highest and best, thinking of ways to get an agent to be rooting for you in a highest and best situation. Being versatile. This was a big topic in our meeting the other day in Centerville, and many of the other conversations I've been having, but you have to be, and if you haven't read this book, the book Versatile Selling, you must be versatile in the way you're approaching the other agent, even on the other side, right? What works for one person may not work for another. Figure out what this agent likes. Make sure you're communicating with this agent and being versatile in your approach to get them, and give yourself every chance for them to be rooting for you. Will it work every time? No, it won't. But just because it won't work every time, that's not an excuse for not trying. It is essential that you allow yourself the ability to be bold with people, to put yourself out there, to become extroverted. I kind of think of that as being loud. It doesn't have to be like loud without dignity. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's a way to be loud and bold and extroverted, maintaining dignity and respect and all of that. So just figure that balance out, but connecting with people at the highest of levels. Okay, next word from the fear of poverty. The symptoms of the fear of poverty is procrastination. Okay, if you're feeling procrastination happening right now, if you're delaying the things that you know you should be doing because you're afraid that you're about to not be able to take listings and the real estate market's going to blow up, whatever, these are the opposites. If you're feeling procrastination coming on, what you need to focus on is these are some of the words that I liked. Persist, persisting, hastening, finishing, right? You've got a job to do, finish the job. And finally, I like the last one. It was just do, right? D-O, do. Go and do. That's one of the most powerful things that you can be thinking right now as it relates to if you're procrastinating, is just get up and go. If you haven't read the book yet from Mel Robbins, I think it's the 5-second rule, whatever it was. She would do this thing where she knew there was something she needed to do. And the premise of the book is basically she'd go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And she'd get up and do it. She wouldn't allow herself to procrastinate. She would persist in accomplishing what she needed to do. She would hasten, create the urgency and hasten the thing that she wanted to accomplish and go and do what she needed to do. And that was the thing. It was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off, get up and go and do that thing, whatever it was she's doing. So motivating. Sixth one was procrastination. Is that where we're at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Procrastination. So indifference, indecision, doubt, worry, overcaution, procrastination. And then finally, the last one is expecting poverty. This is the last symptom of the fear of poverty, is that you just simply expect it. You're expecting no listings to happen. You're expecting the inventory to stay the same and affect you. You're expecting the market to dictate what's going on in your business. You're expecting it to be really challenging, and you're expecting your clients to not get their offers accepted. I keep going through this, the concerns that we're having right now. And when you're expecting that, guess what's going to happen in your life? Doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it's certain that you're going to have these. It's going to be tough. If you flip things just a little bit, right? Turn it upside down, and instead of expecting poverty, you're going to demand riches. You're going to demand abundance. You're going to demand of yourself and the people you're associating with. You're going to demand of your schedule. You're going to demand of your brokers. You're going to demand of your title company, your lender, your home warranty people. You are going to demand riches, greatness, abundance. And you're going to go out there, and I promise you what you're going to do is exactly what I said at the very beginning, the third option of go out and change yourself. You're going to create great things happening in your business. So if you wrote down and were in a position to write that down, you should have this list of the 7 symptoms of the fear of poverty, but the opposite of those things, the words and phrases and things that you should be having in your life right now. And just like if you were feeling a little sore throat coming on, or a cold, cough, sniffles, whatever it might be, you'd reach for some medicine to relieve yourself of those symptoms. The same way that when you're starting to feel a little indifference toward your schedule and what you should be spending your time doing, if you're feeling a little overcautious about how you're approaching people, give you another example of overcaution. I'm worried about asking people to sell because they don't have anywhere to go and buy. Okay, I'm not saying that's not an actual real concern, but instead of worrying and being overcautious, be bold about this. Put yourself out there and say, I'm going to come up with a solution, because every month, thousands of others are coming up with solutions. It's all working out. So just demand of yourself to be bold. Demand of yourself to put yourself out there. So, guys, I hope that these things are interesting to you. Normally, I love talking to you about some more of the sales stuff, but as I've reflected on a lot of the conversations that I've been having with so many agents lately, I'm hearing so much of this world of scarcity, this world of the fear of poverty, and I'm just here to encourage you and tell you that the difference maker is going to be what's going on up here and in here. And if you can rid yourself the best you can of the scarcity and the fear of poverty elements, and put yourself in a position where you're focused on the abundance, the positive, the medicine or relief from the fear of and the symptoms of and the fear of poverty, watch your business get better. Watch deals fall on your lap. Watch the way that you not only survive our current market conditions, but you thrive in these conditions, and you see wonderful things happening in your business. So guys, I'm going to keep talking about this for weeks on weeks right now. You'll hear me in summits and morning ascents and all of these things, are just the idea of flipping the script and focusing on the things that you can control, and coming up with ways to be creative in this market, coming up with solutions to the problems. And I love the fact that people are brainstorming, people are getting together and masterminding about these things because you're getting better and coming up with solutions. But what I've learned over the years is as you experience these symptoms, give yourself the medicine and just do the opposite. Get rid of the worry, the doubt, the indecision, and put into your life eagerness, responsiveness, certainty, faith, trust, happiness. Be bold, finish, all of those things. As you focus on those, great things are going to happen in your business. I absolutely know it. Side note to that, look, we've got a good group here, and we've got a minute or two. I'm just curious. I don't know if anyone's asked any questions or anything. Okay, cool. Just saying. Awesome. Anybody have anything else they want to touch on as it relates to anything I've said, concerns, questions, anything of that nature that I can hit? Type it in. You can even say, I do, and then type your thing just so I know. I'll just give it a moment here to see if anyone types anything. Otherwise, we'll be all set. Fourth one, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. Worry. So worry is the fourth symptom of the fear of poverty. So when you're worried about that, and again, guys, it's not all about, again, when I say fear of poverty, I know that people are like thinking, I'm not talking about sleeping in a cardboard box down on the side of the road. The fear of poverty can simply be the fear that I'm not going to earn dollars, meaning I'm not going to take listings, buyers can't buy homes. What's going, like that is totally the fear of poverty. Yeah, that would be really cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. So grateful that you're on the call today. I'm glad to be able to spend a few minutes with you, and just wish you guys nothing but the best. Go out there and make today a great day and this week. And feel free to reach out if I can do anything for you at all. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.